It's December 7th. I'm sick. Um, I have a correction. I didn't mention Blood on the Leaves in the Yeezus review. Blood on the Leaves is a good autotune song. It's kind of overrated. It has clever use of the sample, but I don't think it's anything special or one of the better songs on Yeezus. And gets into a weird air horn part that I don't like. Um, there's no real good verses. It's just kind of that sample and Kanye in his pretentious bag. It's not one of my favorites. Anyway, I have two new albums that are great, perfect albums. Disco Volante by Mr. Bungle, and the first System of a Down record, the eponymous debut System of a Down. These two albums sound similar sonically, so this might actually be a good grouping in terms of conventional music tastes. They both sound very similar, the records. Um, they both kind of sound like musical theater mixed with metal, mixed with like prog jazz, mixed with like punk and rap, and taking all these disparate elements and then combining it with like corny elements from folk music and musical theater. And both of these vocalists are very similar in that they just do anything. They'll scream, they'll sing melodically, really competently, they'll do weird vocal noises, they'll do voices, like alternate character kind of voices for songs. They'll make sound effects with their noise, with their sound. They'll make noises with their mouth. You know what I think I mean. Um, anyway, they're two very versatile vocalists that kind of go crazy and sing in all sorts of registers, all sorts of styles. Similarly, the lyrics that these two bands have are kind of a combination of nonsense, free word association, and it's kind of emotionally charged stuff that doesn't literally make sense, but communicates an anger and an intelligence, and they're two very very accomplished bands, kind of setting out their mission statements. I mean, of course, Mr. Bungle has the self-titled record before this, um, but this is like when I think Mr. Bungle fully comes into its own, and System of a Down, I think, out of the gate has the basic ingredients that are going to be great throughout their career. And so to me, these are the two purest expressions of these bands creatively, and my two favorite records by System of a Down and by Mr. Bungle. I guess I'll start with Mr. Bungle. Disco Volante means flying saucer in Italian. This album's influenced by Italian composers a lot, like that kind of soundtracks of westerns, spaghetti westerns. Sounds kind of like a spaghetti western in a lot of sections of songs. That Enrico Morricone style. And then there's also kind of like a salsa tango, like Spanish kind of club music that floats in and out of Disco Volante. It seemingly speaks in other languages. I don't know if it's Spanish or Italian or if it's just garbled nonsense. It's very difficult to understand some of the lyrics on this record. His voices float in and out. There's a lot of sound effects. There's a lot of filters. Anyway, there's a lot of commonalities between these records in terms of the overall palette of influences. They both kind of sound like a Frank Zappa record. They both kind of sound like a John Zorn record. Mr. Bungle more probably for that one. But they both have that heavy prog influence, but a darker metal twist on it. Everyone I went to high school with is dead. That's an amazing just title for an opening track. And it's an amazing opening track. It's really dark and impenetrable and slow and just this like doom, 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 doom. And the vocals are filtered to where they're difficult to comprehend, but gets across this like impenetrable sort of I don't know. It's just like there's these people that are just like screaming orders at you from on top of a mountain or something is the energy I get from everyone I went to high school with is dead. Just this grungy doom, 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 doom. And then it sticks with that for the whole song basically. It's like 3 minutes of this slow, just built around this very simple phrase, and then it freaks out, goes into metal guitar solos at the end. But it's a good opener to kind of let you know what you're in for with Mr. Bungle. It's like this is going to be confrontational, aggressive, experimental music. This isn't going to be easy listening prog for you. After everyone I went to high school with is dead, it's Chemical Marriage. It starts out as like a tango almost, like a kind of cheesy like organ sounds. I think it intentionally sounds like cheap, like old, like something you hear in a James Bond movie or something. Like it sounds like like theme music for a 50s action show. And then kind of Spanish jazzy drums slip in, and the organ and the bass, the vocal harmonies over the noises and the breakdown. And it's like do do do. It's like that do 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 do. And then it's the organ by itself. But they break up the organ section. They do organ usually like cheesy, what I'm calling cheesy Spanish James Bond crooner music. They do that, and they doom 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 doom. Then they go back into the cheesy, corny James Bond music. Then there's a bunch of cartoon like pops and cracks and whistles, and like slide whistles, and like just sounds like just like playing with a bunch of noisemakers at a kid's store. And then the song's over. So it's a great song, Chemical Marriage. Carry Stress in the Jaw, one of the best songs on the record. Starts with sax and fast drum line. And then Patton sings a pretty melody that it's good. And then there's a Spanish percussion funky happy section, and then it sounds like sketchy again, back to that sketchy like organ lounge singer thing, and then another version of that kind of like dun 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 dun, but it's a slightly different dun dun dun. And then the prog part starts getting into like musical sections that are more structured, and it's back into the cheesy mariachi, except the crooner sounds like he's drunker now. So Mike Patton is more incoherent as the singer over this. And then after the metal, going back to the Spanish, being broken up with the prog, going back to the crooner, then Desert Search for Techno Allah starts with some abandon. Um, it breaks into a faster pattern pretty quickly after setting it up with exactly what you would think from the title of the song, Middle Eastern music sounds, and then floating in electronic techno sounds. And it it breaks into this pattern again. These weird kind of, I guess, like video game cheap synthy piano beep sound effects come in, and everything cuts out, and it begins to sync with the organ, and the organ starts soloing like Middle Eastern solo over the top of the warbles and random noise that is now the bed of the song, and you start to hear like suction electric distortion noise, maybe a theremin. It's like this, it's like warbly. Either it's a theremin or they give kind of a similar sound of this like otherworldly, um, kind of uncentered synth noise. I think it's theremin. It could be they're making it sound theremin-y by the effects they're treating the synths with. Um, so yeah, it's a bunch of random sound effects, and then it falls away, and then Violenza Domestica starts, which is like, again, like a romantic Spanish tango with like a mouth harp, I think, like this, like, yeah, there's a lot of like literally noisemakers on this record, like sound effects, not instruments. Um, and there's a lot of like, there's like a clattering, simple drum line underneath with kind of organ floats, and then there's a chugging sound effect, chug, chug, chug. It's kind of like that ding, 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 but now it's like chug, 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 chug. This seems to be the way that they break up when they want to end a section or go into a new section. They do a version of this like and that's kind of in their toolkit. It's like their toolkit is cheesy organ Spanish, kind of bleak black metal sludge, and this progressive transition thing, which usually sounds something like do 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 do, and yeah, so those are the three basic elements. But obviously they go other places. It's a very varied record sonically. For instance, after the creepy Spanish whispering from the last song subsides, you have After School Special, which is just like a musical theater children's song. It's like a twisted kind of version of a kid's solo in a musical. It breaks up the album well. I don't think it's a great standalone song. Mike Patton's vocals are funny. Phlegmatics is next, and it starts with like a punk beat and a sustained guitar note with Patton harmonizing, and then it turns into like break beats, and they don't really fit in the slow guitar harmony line. Like they're just playing like a punk beat, like but they're playing the slow, like here's a guitar note, and then Patton sings the guitar note, and there's a fast punk beat underneath it for some reason, and then all the vocals drop out, and the keys play a menacing kind of line over distorted bass. It's just the synth, the organ, and the bass. The drums, guitar, vocal drop out completely. Then it stops. Then there's a horn, sounds like a clarinet playing kind of off key. And then there's metal blasts, and the distorted bass comes back. And then the breakbeat comes for 2 measures, and then the song's over. Mamishka Miskaus. Starts with slow organ sounds and then becomes very Zappa again. And the percussion over, again, just like break beats, like these punk beats and metal beats with like percussion. So it's a weird juxtaposition. You're not used to hearing like kind of funky, polyrhythmic percussion that you usually associate with like tangos or world music over punk, over metal. Uh, it's yeah, it's really a prog record, but maybe a prog metal record. I just like genres. Um, but they're good shorthand for if you have a limited vocabulary like I do to just kind of, you know, not analyze something as a unique work of art, but to put it in a category of, um, like stereotyping. Um, Reductive, but helpful, efficient. So Mimishka Miskows, I think there's accordions in this. It's like Dracula accordions. This whole album is very Dracula. And then there's bursts of guitar, and then they play the old organ line from earlier in the song, and then new song, which is the bends. The bends is long, and it's kind of like an audio journey. It starts with a synth noise over this kind of fast, jazzy drums, and then organ and piano come in, and then it just suddenly grinds to a halt. There's a pattern of doing that in this record. Once something starts to get fun, they're just like, nope, stop. And then there's a bunch of flame noises. I don't know if it's blowing noises. It sounds like flame, like fire, or like video game flame noises. It's like, I can't do it with my mouth. But anyway, there's just blowing noises, squeaking noises, like door creak noises, or just like things being moved noises. And then it sounds like there's an answering machine speak and spell solo, like a crude robot that can only play a few tones becomes the centerpiece. And there's a couple minutes of that, some sci-fi synthy kind of theremin stuff creeps back in, and then the squeaky noises start playing with the jazzy organ noises, and the bass and the drum kind of come in, and there's cool bass playing with the squeaky, playing with the theremin, playing with the synth, and then it's back to just the squeak and random voices. And there's very little arrangement, it's very sparse, and then it's just distorted synth. No more instruments, just unaccompanied, floating, hovering, theremin-y synth for minutes, and it just kind of gets screechier, and it starts to sound like airplane turbulence. It starts to just sound like wind being blown at you. It kind of loses any semblance of melody or rhythm, and it just becomes static. And then backstroking starts with like a Brian Eno, like in Another Green World kind of atmospheric synth. And then it's a doo-wop song. It's like a straight up like, hey, like, just a 50s doo-wop. Patton's good at just bringing in these old kind of novelty styles of music whenever he wants, and then just dropping out of them. So it's a doo-wop song with like a bossa nova beat and a sloppy kind of walloping bass over very technical, tight drumming. And then real piano kind of sneaks in to make it more of like a straight jazz jam rather than just this kind of movie soundtrack synth tango kind of lounge singer thing that a lot of the record has. After that is Platypus, which is like prog jazz. It's like weird prog jazz song. Um, has like, again, that melodic, funky groove for a few measures that's kind of rare in this record. That's just straight up like um, jazzy. They don't let that exist for long. There's lots of hints of it, and then they cut it off almost instantly. But this is one of the better actually demonstrations of that aspect of their sound. Is Platypus. But soon enough, Patton comes in with incoherent vocals, and then just like loud horns, and then just random stabs. The jazz kind of falls apart, and then they go back to the kind of tango-y Dracula Lounge crooner belt stuff, and then the funky bass comes back in, but just for a second, and then there's metal guitars shredding, and then it's over. Merry Go Bye Bye is great. It's a catchy old pop song. It kind of a palate cleanser. It has like, it's like a love song. It has pretty normal lyrics. It has a really pretty vocal melody. It's well sang. There's cool counterpoint harmonies. Patton layers his vocals. And yeah, Merry Go Bye Bye is great. It's a great closer, and it's one of the more accessible songs on the record. There's a hidden track after Merry Go Bye Bye that's just more stabs of metal bursts and loud off-key horns and stuff. It's not really worth listening to. But yeah, so that is a bad description of a good album. That is difficult to describe. But you should listen to it. It's a great record. Another great record you should listen to is the first System of a Down record. Now, I don't know. I feel like I should have done California. I think like that's more interesting peer review. But Disco Volante is legitimately my favorite. My favorite Mr. Bungle. But anyway, what am I gonna do? Another one? Yes. Sweet Pea opens System of a Down. It's an awesome opener. I like opening it with just harmonics. I like the way just guitar harmonics sound in a distorted guitar. Just and then just lets you know what you're in for right away. That chugging kind of metal, good vocals. The lyrics are crazy. I think it's about pedophilia in the church. Lie naked on the floor, let the Messiah go all through your soul. And then all this stuff about becoming Jesus. It's a really creepy song. It goes through these slow, like, doom, 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 and then it's faster, like, rock and metal. It's a great opener. No is next. And No kind of lets you know what the bass reality is for System of a Down. If the bass reality for Mr. Bungle is that and then going into like the bass reality for System of a Down is No, that and then their other thing is like, instead of a Spanish tango Italian soundtrack thing, it's like a folky Middle Eastern I guess Armenian folk music. I'm not big on Armenian folk, sorry, but that's what maybe it is, in a song like Suggestions or Peephole or whatever, like, I don't know. Anyway, No is just like the straight up metal. Sweet Pea is pretty much straight up metal, although it has that cool breakdown where it slows down and then goes back. Join our philosophy, join our philosophy, join your philosophy. Yeah, Sugar's next. Sugar is why I got this record. I heard Sugar on WBCN in Boston. And I went out that day and bought the self-titled System of a Down album because Sugar did not sound like anything I'd ever heard before. I didn't listen to Frank Zappa at that point. I didn't listen to progressive music at that point. And when I heard Sugar, I thought I had an aneurysm or something. I did not understand what had just happened. And it still holds up. It's a great song. Yakabuto, mushroom people sitting around all day. Who can believe you? But yeah, how do I feel when I say fuck you, it all goes away? I got a gun the other day from Socko. Cute, small, fits right in my pocket. Yeah, classic song. The verses are like jazz, like and then the chorus is so there's a lot of extreme shifting when they go between things. But that's a dynamic that's on a lot of this record, like is on the Mr. Bungle record. Suggestions is that, like, warning, this is your ships of fun. Yeah. And if you end up just with that song, then you're it's pretty good. Spiders is better. Spiders is one of the best songs on the record. It's an amazing ballad. It's beautiful lyrics. If you just perform this song acoustically and sing it, you get a profound appreciation for what a wonderful song it is. It is a fantastic sort of oasis, sort of eye of the storm in this record. Just an acoustic, undistorted, kind of, the lyrics aren't really crazy. They're dark, but it's kind of telling like a relatable human story, not this surrealism or absurdism that is in a lot of the other record. It's a beautiful ballad and one of the best System of a Down songs. Spiders, go listen to it. The Devil is next, which is awesome. The Devil is Serge going the craziest. I feel like the vocals in this are amazing. He does some wacky stuff. Like, this is why I put him in the category of Mike Patton, is because of how he sings on this song. For each of the verses, he has like different voices, and it's just like, he can make these lyrics sound better than they are by singing them in these weird ways. And it's like, stupid people do stupid things, smart people outsmart each other than themselves. And it just, when he gets to like, he literally makes like cuckoo noise, like animal noises, like clucks like a chicken or a bird, and then he makes like, he starts, I don't know, sometimes he'll rap, sometimes he'll like sing Middle Eastern, like whatever that is. Sometimes he'll metal growl, like Cookie Monster vocal, within the same song, within the same verse sometimes. So you just never feel like you know what you're getting. Soil is one of the more straightforward songs in the record. It's just kind of straightforwardly dark. Again, that's the whole album. Not one of the better songs. War is one of the best songs. It has a slow build. I saw them perform this live on their first tour. They only had this album out, WBCN River Rave, in 2001, probably. And when they played War, it was by far the highlight of the show, because War has this very slow build, and then it's, we must fight the heathens, we must fight the heathens. So when they play it live, they like really milk the build, and then everything kind of explodes with the we must fight the heathens. They were a great live act, System of a Down. After War is Mind, which Mind is it's like a slow, it's like that slow rim click ballad where it's like ding ding. Yeah, it's kind of the slowest song on the record. It stays like that for most of the part, and then weird kind of. Then it goes, but it takes like 3 minutes to do that. Most of the songs, within 30 seconds, they go. This song, it's like a slow. We're doing rim clicks. We're hanging out. We're in no danger of going. And then 3 minutes in, it's like, guess what, guys? So yeah, that's how mine goes. People is a waltz. Don't you ever get stuck in the sky if you're high. Great advice. But yeah, it sounds kind of like a Middle Eastern folk or something, or I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's got a really pretty melody during the verses, and the chorus is great. I think it's one of the better songs on the record. Hubert, great song on the record. Starts with the harmonics, like sweet pea, little different harmonic phrase. Hubert is reminds me of a Frank Zappa song. It's got like like weird composed parts that are based on Serge's melody, or maybe his melodies he comes up with to complement the composed parts. But it sounds like a proggy metal song, and then it goes into the which again is one step away from which that's kind of like the Mr. Bungle breakup phrase to me. It's like, why compare these two records? There's a lot of similarities. If you actually listen to them back to back, you might hear what I'm talking about. I have listened to them back to back because they used to be two of my favorite records at the same time. Yeah, Darts starts out just straight punk energy, just like it's already going, and then it slows down. Yeah, reminds me kind of a Rage Against the Machine song. With the way that the guitars are. The guitars are like a Tom Morello type guitar line, where it's just like, here's a bunch of harmonics, and here's like a one note put through 30 filters, and then just chug, 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 chug. And then Pluck is a good album closer. It's apparently about the Armenian genocide. But yeah, it has kind of a shifty, mid-tempo-y beat, devolves into Cookie Monster metal. Nice closer for a nice record. These are two good records. System of a Down's self-titled debut, and Mr. Bungle's Disco Volante.